Welcome to Product Design and Development. Please make sure to check out the rest of the videos in this course. In this video, I'll talk about project management, baseline project management documents, and the tools that are available to us for managing a product design and development process. Some of the examples that we'll see here, some of the documents in this video are from my own personal product development projects and senior design projects, but some of them are from this case study from industry, Biogen's Plegridy pen. It's injection pen. Please pause the video, look it up, and read the information about the pen. But these are some of the information we use in this video. Kind of looking back at the slide that we've talked about it before. We've talked about the project management, project planning, and project execution and how they relate with each other. Please go back and watch that video. I explain a little bit more details about it, but just to briefly kind of review what we talked about is project management happens throughout the development process. It's a bigger umbrella, and that include project planning and project execution. Please pay attention to some of the colors. I tried to color code some of the later slides. Slides that you see with that purple color headline, those are related to project management. We've had other videos with project planning and project execution. Talked about the definition of them. We mentioned that they are all relating to tasks. They're all related to coordination and focusing on coordinating tasks, using resources, and achieving project objectives and project goals. Some of the documents that we use throughout the product development process and are part of project management tools. So a manager and a team member uses all or some of these documents to kind of coordinate between the tasks, make sure the project is on schedule, make sure the resources are used as they're supposed to be used. Project plan. There's a video we talked about project plan and how to develop a project plan and what goes into it. We often include the risk plan as part of project plan as well. So project plan includes task list, budget, project schedule, and risk plan. So all of these four often refer to as project plan or a comprehensive project plan. A lot of companies, a lot of textbooks, a lot of courses refer to task list and budget as project plan. Some might refer to task list, process, schedule as project plan. So it's important to know that the role of each of these documents, the name or how they're combined together is not really that big of an issue. So in any case, the project plan is the roadmap for the entire development process, an entire development effort. Task list is what includes list of all the tasks that they need to be compiled in order to achieve the project goals and go from a problem to a product. Project budget has all the costs associated with developing a product. This is not cost of a product, manufacturing one product. This is cost of development product. Another important point to remember is budget is the basis for allocating fund. Means the team develops budget. The team develops budget, and then it either submits the budget somewhere or requests fund, and then whoever is in charge, the manager, supervisor, customer, in the case of country, Congress, for example, president submits a budget, Congress looks at it, and then they allocate fund based on that budget. It's not the other way around. Doesn't mean you go ask and say, okay, how much do we have available? They say, I don't know, $1 million. And then you go based on that $1 million, figure out how much you can spend for the project. It's not like that. It's funds are allocated based on what you have developed in your budget. Contract book is another document. It can have a lot of different names in different projects, different companies. In a senior design and in product design course, students often refer to it as engineering notebook. Sometimes they refer to it as lab notebook. It's what documents all of the activities, project plan, project budget, result of all the tasks, deliverables, all the events that happens throughout the project, all the conceptual sketches, all the calculations, they all go in a contract book. We'll see some examples of it from senior design teams later on in this video. Team staffing and organization. This is usually with bigger companies when people have different roles and different functions, and one person might contribute to several different projects. You plan for what roles do you need at what time of the project. Again, we'll see an example of this from the Biogen Pen case study. Project schedule is the project task list with dependencies and with the timeline. We have talked about the Gantt charts before. We have talked about DSM and PERT. If you're not familiar with those, please watch the video on design structure matrix and PERT diagram and Gantt chart for the schedule of the project. So these 5 categories, again, depends on how you count project plan. Could be less, could be more. These are the main documents used in project management, and make sure that coordination of the tasks are done properly. So some examples that we look from the case study, these are what goes into contract book and how many pages approximately dedicated to that. The chapters, you can ignore the chapters. These are from the product design and development textbook. But I always tell students that all activities related to product development or the project in general needs to be documented. I also tell the students that if it's not documented, it means it never happened. So, just a good practice to record and document every activity that you do. We'll see some examples of this in these slides. So these are from the engineering notebooks from students working on senior design project in mechanical engineering. This is a typical page from the design notebook. It has location, it has name of the person or anybody else that was in attendance. Usually has start and end time, who was in attendance. It has signature on the bottom, and all the information for whatever task the student was working on. In this case, it was trying to figure out some reactions of a column, is recorded in here. It always recorded by ink. It's never pencil, never used. If you make a mistake, you simply put a fine line through it and you make correction, next to it. Everything that is recorded in a contract book or an engineering notebook needs to be legible at all times. Here's another example. Again, I've redacted some of the information, student signature and student information. If a portion of the notebook is going to be blank, it's recommended that you cross it off. So note information could be altered later. See here, the student made a mistake, but I can totally still read what the mistake was. You never black out any mistakes in the notebook. And this kind of continues. It has date, start time, end time, who was in attendance. It has signature on the bottom, and this the student even get a witness to sign the document. In larger companies, some of these contract books could be used for discovery date when you're filing for patent and stuff like that. So this could be treated as a legal document. That's why it's signed by a witness, some of the pages of the document. Here's another example. I'm going to go through them a little bit faster. Feel free to pause the video and kind of look through it. But the student was working on concepts. Again, I've redacted some of the information, but location, time, start time, attendance, who was attendance. I mean, this person was alone in their apartment, but they just recorded the location. It was their apartment, the date, and all of that. So again, all the activities need to be recorded. Got to be nice and neat and legible. It could be used by other people of the company or even for legal purposes, as we mentioned. An example of a kind of high-level task list of the PlegReadyPen. Again, the actual project plan had over 200 tasks. These are, again, just high-level, just major headlines and headings and milestones of the projects, plus how their duration in months. And most of them are 12 months. But as we've talked about task dependencies, a lot of them could be coupled or could be parallel, and you can figure out the timeline of the project based on the task dependencies. Here's an example of project staffing and a summary of budget. Again, the budget documents for some of these projects could be tens or hundreds of pages long. This is just 3 major bullet points or major budgets for development process. But going back to that project staffing and teamwork, you can kind of see this is a bigger company, so these are all roles rather than names of the people. And then you can see at beginning months, maybe they require only 50% of the time of a device engineer. But then as it goes on, you can kind of see here in the middle of the project, it gets a little bit less. And then kind of towards the end, they don't need a device engineer anymore. On the other hand, when you look at some of the people to draft something at the beginning of the project, there's not much in it. But then as project progress, you might need more people in it. So for larger project with a lot of different roles and functions, project staffing kind of looks like this document. Risk plan is when you expect to deviate from your task list and project schedule that you have, things that might go wrong, and it could be a low or moderate or high risk level. So you kind of develop a plan of what ifs. So this is a plan of what if. What if this happens? Then what do we do about it? So you're prepared and you have an action plan in place in case something goes wrong. So the example on the left here is from the PlegReadyPen. The example on the right is a typical senior designer students that they did. I redacted the names of the members responsible for the risk plan. Now looking at project execution or project control, and we'll talk about, hey, how can I assess and coordinate tasks between people? But also, if something is wrong and if project is behind, if you're ahead, great. If you're behind, what can we do to correct it? So that's what we're going to talk about in the next few slides. Some of the coordination mechanisms that are available to project managers, and this is something that engineering students in product design course for their project, and also in senior design and capstone course, they use these coordination mechanisms to make sure tasks are on time and on a schedule. In companies, hopefully or usually, people are kind of located close to each other. So a lot of informal conversation, a lot of informal discussion is happening between team members. But in addition to that, there's always formal meetings. Depending on the project and where you are on the project timeline, you might meet more often at the beginning or more often towards the end, depends on the project. It might be weekly, could be bi-weekly, it could be twice a week. So it totally depends on the project, but meetings and project management meetings with team members involved are a big part of any project management tools and baseline that you can use. In the meetings, you can use the schedule or start your meetings by using the schedule, project schedule, either Gantt chart, PERT chart, DSM, whatever it is, to make sure everybody knows what tasks they are supposed to complete and work on. But also, that's a good way of assessing with everybody to make sure everybody knows what the schedule is and what current tasks are done. In a lot of projects, at the end of the week or at the beginning of the week, teams send out a status memo, the list of accomplishment or the list of plans that they need to do either during that week or if it's at the end of the week. This is what we have accomplished throughout the week. A lot of companies use incentives in forms of bonuses, or if your project, instead of 12 months, if you can finish it in 11 months, then the whole team gets a bonus. For a lot of engineering students, their grade is tied to these projects, so that's the incentive for them. And again, different mechanisms you can use for people to make sure they are on task and they're doing the tasks. Some of the examples, these are from my students working on different design projects or senior design projects. These are the weekly updates they send. We meet every week, but at the end of the week, usually they also send what has happened. And in some of these, you can see, hey, we're going to meet tomorrow, but they also send a summary of this is what we did last week, and these are the plan and action plans for this week. Again, some of the updates from this week, because this week we skipped the meeting, so they send a weekly update. Again, everybody is kind of CC'd on those email. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows what's going on with the meetings. Here's another one. Feel free to pause it and look through it. But again, so they kind of say, hey, this is what we've accomplished, this is what we're working on, and this is our plan, that we did. So very brief, very short, but everybody is kind of on the same page. Any time that is spent in a meeting is a waste of time, unfortunately. You have to meet weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever that is, but that's waste of time. So you can be very efficient about it, and by providing an agenda ahead of time. All of the students in product design and senior design capstone courses, they use pretty much the same template of agenda. There is a variety of different templates available. This goes out usually, depending on the company, either one day or a couple of days ahead of the meeting. So everybody knows what is going to be discussed, what is expected of everybody, what is the old business, what's the new business, what's coming up, what are the dates. So these due dates that you see appear here, they're all connected to the task list and the project schedule that the students have. So again, this is another way of keeping tasks on track and making sure that you're sticking with your task list and project schedule. So, at the end of every phase or at the end of every meeting or within every meeting, you are assessing the project and you're figuring out how everybody's doing, if you are ahead or if you are behind, or how's the project doing. So a lot of things you can do to assess the project, and it goes tied in with the coordination mechanisms that you have at your disposal. But now let's say the team is behind or the project is behind. Some of the critical tasks need more attention. You figure something is wrong. These are a list of corrective actions that you can do to correct the status of a project. This is not an exhaustive list. This could go on and on. any common sense measure that you might be able to apply depending on the situation to bring the project back on task, that's great. These are some of the examples that we use in senior design. Sometimes we change the timing of the meeting. That means we meet on Tuesday, it's in the middle of the week, maybe it's not very effective. We move it to Friday. That kind of give people a little bit motivation to get things done during the week. So Friday, everybody has something to present in the meeting. Maybe just that shift from Tuesday to Friday is effective. Sometimes maybe you have to have the meeting beginning of the week because then people can have a plan for the week and what to do. Moving people around, changing project staff, adding staff to the project goes back to the project staffing team. That sometimes might help. This one kind of goes to this point here. Putting more effort on the critical tasks. If you're not sure what critical tasks are, please watch the video when we talked about the project schedule, Gantt chart, PERT diagram, and DSM. In the PERT diagram, you can identify critical tasks. These are tasks that are on the critical path of the project. Any delay in any of the path, any delay in any of these tasks will result in delay of the project. If you have a company with multiple locations, maybe putting people together and bringing them in the same office will increase those informal discussion. It eliminates a lot of email back and forth on online meetings, which are, again, not very efficient, not very good use of time. So maybe that can help sometimes. This also kind of goes back to staffing. If you check your staffing schedule, maybe you can have some people, instead of 50% of their time, maybe they can dedicate 75% to the project. Sometimes if some of your manufacturing, some of your design is taking longer than you expected, you can maybe engage outside sources to kind of help you with that. Sometimes this is not always a good option, so you've got to be very careful with this last one. Sometimes you cannot change the scope or schedule of the project, but within your task list, within your project schedule, you might be able to shift tasks around. Again, especially if you look at your PERT diagram and your Gantt chart, you might be able to move some of the tasks around a little bit or change the timeline of some of the tasks. You're not extending the project, you're not delaying the project, but within the timeline, you're moving things around to kind of meet some of those deadlines. And again, as I mentioned, could be a lot more added to this list as the corrective actions, that anything that helps coordinate the tasks. Usually within the companies, especially some of the companies that they work on platform products, complex products, customized products, variant products, a lot of those, post-mortem project evaluation is done. They do a couple of things from this. One good information is they can develop a better timeline, so they calibrate their time estimate. Remember, there was a factor A in time estimate of timeline of the project. So calibrate your A constant. That was a company constant. You go back and say, hey, maybe this A was too high, too low. You calibrate that. So this results in a better task list and a schedule development for future projects. This is for future projects. Another important aspect of this is you update your risk plan. For future, again, this is for future projects. You learn from this project and you update and develop your risk plan. You learn new things that went wrong in this project that you can prevent and plan for in the future project. So this is something done after the project is done, and the company they can use these recommendations. We use this in our student challenges. Student challenges such as AIAA, that is an annual student competition, SAE competition, NASA competitions that students attend every year. They do a post-evaluation of those projects and they write a one-page recommendation for the next year team to what to do and what not to do to succeed in these projects. So that's a post-mortem project evaluation. Thank you.